Oh, hi folks. Hope you're well. Thanks for the kind comments. Keep them coming. Um, I've just had a glass of lemonade, excuse me, and it's repeating on me, so forgive me if I burp occasionally, but I do get trapped gas, as they say. I'd rather come out the top than the bottom, essentially. Anyway, this video, talking about food and drink and things. Um, I've said in previous videos, I think, it's the Alzheimer's kicking in due to the chemtrails and the fluoride, I think. Um, I think I've mentioned before uh, that I'm not really into food. Yeah. I never have been. As a child, I was always a difficult eater. Um, my mother was that worried about me when I was very small that I was shipped off to St George's Hospital uh, in London, in Tooting Bec, or was it Tooting Broadway? I can't remember now. Um, Anyway, for a week's investigation as to why I simply refused to eat like normal kids. Yes, I know. I had four older siblings, and I was trouble from day one, it seems, with the food, because I found it a pain in the ass to have to break my day up of very interesting things I wanted to do and sit there around a table stuffing this food I didn't really want. I wasn't really hungry. That's the strange thing about it. And I got absolutely no joy out of eating at all whatsoever. Apart from the social intercourse that was going around the table, of course, with my four older brothers and my parents, I had no fun in eating. It was a real bummer for me to have to come in and disturb my routine to sit round a table and eat, which was my parents' insistence that we eat as a family when we were all together. And one by one, my brothers left home in descending order of age, and I was left really with it started off with five of us, obviously, and four, and then three, and three became two, and well, I was left alone to eat. And from the very beginning, folks, I was a difficult child. My mother and father played all sorts of games and tricks and this problem child they had on their hands, trying to get me to eat my lunch, dinner, breakfasts. I had a terribly sweet tooth, I know that. Nothing changes there. But even in adult life, I find eating a real pain in the ass. I get very little pleasure out of eating. I find it an inconvenience, a kerfuffle. It wrecks my day, to be honest with you, having to get up in the morning. The last thing I really, really want to do is eat breakfast. It's not the first thing. I'll have a cup of tea. That's about it. To wet the whistle, as they say. But I can go for ages and ages and not feel the hunger pangs or anything like this. And I have to think, oh, I should, by the time I'm getting the sort of hypoglycemic, low sugar shakes, I suppose I'd better have some cereal with a bit of sugar, or a slice of toast or two with some honey. That's my breakfast. Rare indeed that I ever go through the cooked breakfast deal, which is probably my favourite meal. If you were going to say any meal of the day, choose one, and my favourite would be a couple of rashers of bacon, fried bread, baked beans, bit of brown sauce, and a cup of tea. And I'd be perfectly happy with that. Yes, that's my favourite meal, is breakfast. It's also the most important meal. Sets you up for the day, don't you know? But even then, I'm not a connoisseur of food. I have very little interest in food, and yes, I know it's an essential thing. But for many people, it's an obsession. To the extent that they make a career out of it, don't they? They want to be chefs, or in ladies' terms, a cook. Never quite tell the difference, to be honest with you, since the end result is often the same. The terminology used and all the gadgets. Yes, and why is it that the French have taken over the world of cuisine? And why? Because the French eat such weird things, don't they, for Christ's sake? How can you take a nation seriously? These frogs' legs and snails, and passes it off as a cuisine, whatever that means. Well, you know, as time moves on then, I find eating a bore. It's a major interruption in the things I am doing in the daytime. And I eat sporadically. It drives my wife insane, quite frankly, that, you know, she has no idea what to cook for lunch or dinner. I just say anything, quite frankly. Well, what do you want? Make a decision. You make a decision. I really don't care. And I do mean I don't care. If it's something palatable, I'll eat it. Because the only thing with food for me, really, is to ensure that there are no trans fats in it, vegetable oils, and all the rest I really don't care. And there's a couple of hates I don't dislike, and I mean hate. Cauliflower and cabbage. They're the two things that will never pass my lips. Tried them once and didn't like them, and that was the end of the matter. And I discovered very early in my life that I didn't like those two things, cauliflower and cabbage. Anything else, fair game. Oh yes, one meat I don't like is lamb. It's not that I despise eating sheep, although it's not very nice. I just don't like the taste. Call me old-fashioned. So I have a very boring English palate, if you like. And I don't drink wine whatsoever. And I rarely, if I do drink, I'll have a glass of beer. One. So, yeah, Mr. Boring. I know. I mean, I'm very easy to cook for. It's whatever's put in front of me, and providing it's edible and it's not on my hit list of dislikes, I'll eat it. And I'll be grateful. But I'll be just so glad to get up and leave the table. And I really don't mind doing the dishes. I'm one of those rare beings that find doing the dishes quite cathartic. It gives me thinking time. And I enjoy doing a good job. And my wife loves me for that. I love doing the dishes. We have a dishwasher that is never used. We used it when we had the 2 children at home, but as it's just the 2 of us now, it's so much quicker to do it by hand, quite frankly. So there we are. That's my boring little life. Very easy. And I'd rather snack my way through a day than disturb my day by 3 set square meals. And I have friends, and yes, I really do have friends, and honestly, and they it's almost like a religion. Oh, is that the time? Oh, Sunday lunch. And their whole day is disrupted. They have to curtail what they're enjoying doing to get back for the Sunday lunch. Or, oh, it's lunchtime now, they're clock watching. And I see people, sometimes in places I've worked, they sit there and looking at the clock longingly. And it's rather strange, the fatter the people, the more often they're glancing at, they get fidgety. You know, what's that? And these are the people, the foodies in life that I don't understand. Because I can't see what the interest and obsession is in food. You know, for me, food is a means to an end. It comes out our ass in exactly the same for me than it does for you, quite frankly. It's brown and it smells. There we are. Which brings me on to the topic of MasterChef. Yes. So now you know my thoughts about food and foodies. I can think of more important things to get excited about, quite frankly, or be critical about, than someone's ability to cook. Now, you know, I know it's an art, okay, and it's an acquired skill. But looking at the personalities, Jamie Oliver and that other idiot Gordon Ramsay, yada yada yada, our bookshops are full of these Yes Chefs books, aren't they? And they televise this Master Chef where you get sort of 4 or 5 innocent victims coming along, and they get given a bunch of ingredients and they're sent away in their separate little kitchens to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, quite frankly. And some of them do actually produce quite nice looking plates. And a bit of a variation on the theme. You get 4 people to, cook a meat and 3 veg or whatever they're going to do, and present it nicely. But within a second, the whole plate's destroyed anyway by the mastication process. You're stuffing it in your mouth and chewing it. But what irritates the hell out of me is people trying to make it look difficult, and it ain't. And try to make it an art form, as though food should be revered. Oh, worshipful food, meat and 3 veg, whatever. And I think, what a lot of nonsense. They've sweated quite literally and panicked for 40 minutes maybe to produce something that, most women are knocking out during the week every Sunday, quite happily, thanks very much, and their family are enjoying it, I suppose. And yet on MasterChef they have to gild the lily, don't they? They and then the critics, and they're sat there, oh right, okay, David, what have you got? And David slaps his offering on there. It's rather funny that most of the top chefs in the world are men, or most of the top producers, are males. The Michelin stars. Well, I thought they were tyres, quite frankly, Michelin, but got involved in the food industry. Michelin star chef. So bloody what? His shit stinks too. I'm sorry to say, but it does. I don't stand on so many for any prick, and it's such a bloody hassle, from what I gather, to become a Michelin star restaurant, because the imposition on that particular restaurant has to comply to the Michelin standards, as though they're French. The French, I'm sorry, but the French are the mankiest people in Europe, as far as I'm concerned. They eat some serious bad shit and pass it off as bloody food. And they got strange names for it. I mean, Christ's sake, they are arseholes when it comes to pâté foie gras. When they actually get a goose as a youngster and they put a funnel down its throat, okay, and they force feed it corn to the point of almost exploding this poor creature's stomach. They take this funnel out and they leave it in. Oh, and the over demand on the goose's liver, because the liver's trying to process all this corn, it puts fat around the liver, and bigger, and the liver gets fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter. And that's pâté foie gras. No, it's animal abuse, quite frankly. That's what it is. And the French basically would put syrup on a turd and pass it off as something edible, wouldn't they? Sorry, yeah. Don't get me started on the French. They're not my favourite nation, quite frankly. They're pigs. They're pigs that wear lipstick, as far as I'm concerned, the women. And they're supposed to be so full of class. Well, look what they were like in the war, apart from the French resistance. But no, they're never quite come out of the peasant era, in my opinion, the French. And you can see that I have an innate hatred towards the French. And even today, I dislike the French. They think they're a cut above everybody else. The men think they're all a cut above every lover. I'm a great French love. What's that got to do with shagging women? I'm sorry. No. But I don't know. We've got so many cookbooks. Pretty pictures. And I don't understand why people get so obsessed with this obsession of making food and cooking food, because I find it a bloody inconvenience in my life. The hassle of having to break up in my day what I want to do to sit round a table with people I don't particularly want to sit with, quite frankly, and have a conversation with. I'm not a social eater. I'm there, I'll eat, I'll get up and go. Not sit for 3 hours afterwards with a bottle of wine, the obligatory bloody bottle of wine that tastes like bloody vinegar anyway. You know, sitting there talking and doing the old, you know, the finger up bit and oh yes, I can tell, yes, 1920, blah, 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 blah. Chateau Lafite. Oh, piss off with your Chateau Lafite. You know, it is just, why is there a snob factor in all this food crap? Give me a can of Coke and a bag of crisps, for Christ's sake. I just want to get on with doing what I enjoy doing. I just want to kill the hunger pains. Pangs, I should say. I just want to stop feeling hungry, thanks. That's the sole purpose of food for me. And I get very little enjoyment, quite frankly. Yes, I do have things I like to eat, because I have a sweet tooth. I'm very much a pudding person, and I like plain sponge cake with custard. Oh yeah, I'm a very simple soul, and that's heaven for me. And ambrosia rice, that's another favourite. But I can get that out of a tin, you see. I don't need to go and get all the rice and get all the hey, hello, it's in a tin. And it's very nice. Ambrosia cream rice has been around a long time. And Devon custard as well. You can get that tinned as well. So, you know, I'm very simple. I'm very easy. If you invite me round for a dinner, I'm very easy. One thing I won't eat is a McDonald's or trans fats. Not at all. But I'm quite happy to watch other people kill themselves with trans fats. But not for me. But not sure about your opinions about such things, but I just find food people are food fanatics are food bores. And I couldn't care less, quite frankly, about the quality of the meat. An animal has died to provide that meat for you on your plate. That's all I can think about. And you talk about sacrifice. Yes. That animal's died to satiate your hunger, so it's wise if you eat the meat. If you are a meat eater. And there's nothing wrong with that. We need to eat meat. We need our proteins, folks. But there are certain animals, as I say, I just don't like the taste of them. Chicken is a nice food. You see, I'm not that finicky. But I can't stand food snobs. And I don't like the way that the television, when I used to watch it, is obsessed with food programs. They seem to think, these media types, that everybody's interested in food. And we promote these people to the state of gods, Jamie Oliver and the other dickhead. You know, the one that swears at people, Gordon Ramsay. I'm sorry, but if he ever spoke to me like he speaks to some of his staff, he's getting rolling pin up where it don't shine or across his teeth. And I don't give a rip who he is if he ever spoke to me like that. Who does he think he is? And Jamie Oliver, they're talking, splat, so you must spit in more food. And it gets up and close, and the camera's zooming into his ugly chops, and he's sprinkling it. Oh, just get it on this. You think, oh, Jamie, put your lips away. I mean, his tongue is too big for his mouth. I'm sorry, but that's a critique of Jamie Oliver. And I just don't rate these people. I think they're people who've had no friends as children. So they've stuck with mummy in the kitchen, and they've learnt by default. And then suddenly they start to call themselves chefs. Because mummy wants to take a back seat, so let Jamie have a go. And he was suckered into becoming the cook of the household, and he turned it into a career. Well, good for him. But cut out the shit, Jamie Oliver. You know, half the ingredients that Ramsay and Jamie Oliver use in their food, most people on the street can't afford to do classic meals every day, can they? Yet they give you the impression that they do it every day. Don't tell me Jamie Oliver doesn't have beans on toast with a bit of cheese grated on top occasionally just to stop him feeling hungry. Or does he? Or does he get up close and start analysing Does he make his own tomato sauce to go in with the beans? You never know. But no, foodies. I've never been that impressed with people who have a career in food. I know people do it, they have to do it. You know, what do you do for a living? Oh, I work in a restaurant down the road. Ah, are you a chef? Not really, I'm a cook. I don't see the difference. Chef, cook. I'm sorry. You know, you look at a menu, shepherd's pie. Yeah, fine. Okay then, do a shepherd's pie. It doesn't matter whether a chef's done it or a cook's done it, quite frankly. Makes no odds. It's a person who makes food for other people to consume. And the cheek of some restaurants with the prices that they charge. You know, how much was that meal? It was £46 a head. Christ. And you get little portions, and because it's arranged with nice pretty colours and a bloody flower. What's this flower doing on my dinner? Hey, you. Yeah. I want you to put this in your mouth and eat it. Oh, it's there for decoration, sir. Oh, right. And how much is this going to cost me this dinner? £72 with a sweet and a little chocolate at the end and a little coffee. Does it include the coffee? Oh, that makes it all okay then. You're billing me 70 quid for a 3-course meal, which I could buy for about £4.60 in bloody Tesco's or Morrison's. Come on, get with the programme. Oh yes, but we have the master chef in the kitchen. He's going to produce the... Oh, stick it up your ass. I'm sorry, don't give me this shit. Who the hell do you think you're bloody talking to? Eh? I'm just a grumpy old man. There's a programme on TV called, I think, the guy called Victor Meldrew's on it. And my wife calls me Victor Meldrew. I think I take it as a compliment. I truly do. Nobody's buried me up to my neck in the grass lately and put a flower pot on the top of my head so nobody can see me. But she has her moments she has little special wishes that she wished were granted on occasions. But I have been known to embarrass her in public, and she kicks under the table and gives me the occasional nudge and says, don't start your nonsense again, otherwise I won't bring you out again. So I do have to learn to behave myself, but yes, I've been tempered down since I've been raising tempers. I'd just like to get your thoughts about this, to see what you think about food. I think it's a pain. It often is a pain in the ass. Yes, in more ways than one. And as I said before, you know, it doesn't matter what it goes in like, it's what it comes out like. It's all the same, isn't it? And sometimes even worse. And I think food is one of the biggest wastes of time. When you think about it, we spend half of our lives probably sleeping. But we will spend a good 25% of our time in our day eating. Or some people think 100% of their time in their day thinking about eating. They just simply can't get enough of the stuff. And, well, we can spot them down the high street, Billy and Bunty. Yes, we can. And their children. And the irony is, it's often the more broke people in society that are the fat ones. Well, let's face it, they don't go out and consume energy, do they? Or burn up energy because they're working. Then they sit there watching television, and one after the other. And when they've had a 3-course meal for dinner time late in the evening, they'll get the snacks out then, and they'll snack into up to midnight. In the morning they'll have masses of lashings, and they'll go and they'll do this 3-4 times. But what's all this? I never had supper as a kid. I could never understand. I had friends who had supper, but I could never understand it. I thought supper was something given in the Middle East, you know, in the Jesus' time, if that was your thing. Last Supper strung to mind. It never occurred to us as a family to have supper. But some families, It's a hanging offence to not come down and eat your supper. It's become a bit of a religious thing. It's a bit habitual thing, isn't it? It's the same as having lunch at 12 o'clock. Breakfast between 8 and 10. Between 12 and 1:30, 12 and 2 o'clock is your dinner. Lunch and your dinner. I used to call it breakfast, dinner, tea. Yeah, because I'm common. It's only posh people who call it breakfast, lunch, dinner, isn't it? But it's all got this snobbery about it, and I think it's misplaced, quite frankly, because I despise snobs. They're making up for some inadequacies in their life. And it's the same with the super chefs. Gordon Ramsay might class himself as a very good chef. Sure. But ask his wife if he's any good in bed. And the same with Jamie Oliver. They've all got a little skeleton in the cupboard, these boys. They're all been mummy's boys, quite frankly. And I do feel sorry for most of the girls that even attempt to compete in MasterChef. But the ones who tend to win those sort of things, the women that do win MasterChef, are a little bit hefty or butch. And they're certainly rotund. And it says it all. They're foodies. They're food obsessed. You can see in a glance that they're food obsessed. They're not fat. They're just too short. That's all. Well, there we are. She probably eats more than she cooks. Quite literally. She's always testing the food that she's producing. She seems to have tested a lot. A little bit too much, methinks. No, food snobs and the food industry got a lot to answer for, really. But since when did... I do remember, in closing, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, one of the funniest things I ever saw as a child, and I was turning, it was my puberty time. I really, I was very, very highly strung. And I remember there used to be a woman on TV. It all started off this TV cooking shit and baking shit, didn't it? On the UK, we had black and white TV. I do remember it. It was coming up to Christmas time. And quite close to Christmas, actually. And as kids, we used to watch TV like this, mesmerised by the black and white. To the point is when you turn the telly off at night, you get a little dot. And you wait for the dot to disappear before you get sent to bed. Mum, I can still see the dot. I'll go to bed when the dot's gone, because this central dot on the cathode ray tube in front of us, the black and white telly, used to be there and then just disappear. And that would be bedtime for us, me and my brother. And so we used to sort of, oh God, what's on telly then before we go to... have to watch... There was this woman called Fanny Craddock. And she had a husband called Johnny. And I remember this, it was like it was yesterday. It was so funny. Well, my brothers thought it was so funny. I didn't quite get it until later on in life. But I was watching this program. And she was cooking a Christmas pie, a Christmas pudding, actually. Christmas cake. Let's call it Christmas cake. And I was watching hypnotically, thinking, what a lot of nonsense, even then. Anyway, she produced this quite miraculous cake out of nothing, which was her want. And then she disappeared. She says, I'm just going to, before I go, get my husband on. Over here, Johnny. And she pulls him on, the poor sod. And he says, well, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed Fanny's show. And it only really wishes me, only need to wish you all a happy Christmas. Successful New Year, and may all your cakes taste like Fanny's. And my brothers, and my father actually, and my mother was sniggering. I couldn't quite understand what the joke was. When somebody said, may all your cakes taste like Fanny's. And that was the end of it for me, until somebody actually explained it to me. And now I understand why, every time she came on telly. Fanny's on the telly. And what my brothers used to rush in and say, oh, I thought you meant women. We had all this laugh. And it was a standing joke in our house. But since then, chefs and cooking and it's all become an obsession to be on TV. And we wonder why people are getting fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter. And they've got all new inventions and gadgets for the kitchen, haven't they? At the end of the day. Well, I hope their cakes do taste like Fanny's. In many ways. But as for me, give me a bowl of cereal for breakfast. Yeah. Sandwich for lunch. And bacon and egg 3 times a day. That would be my sort of great day. Bacon, eggs, sausage, black pudding. Yes. Bloody marvellous. Set you up for the week, that would. And I can have a cooked breakfast any time of the day. All day breakfast suits me. And they can stick their cordon bleu right where they don't really want to take it. What are your thoughts? I'd be curious to see. Please pass comments. But they're all suffering delusions of grandeur, bless them. And pâté foie gras, these bastards should be put in prison for animal cruelty. And give the frogs their legs back, you French bastards. I've always hated the French for that one.